say differentiation is a way to provide opportunity for students to show us what they know, uh, and it's a way to engage all students.
The teacher does different things during the period, so the teacher has them do a writing, and the teacher has them do, I don't know, a skit or something. And then there's also differentiation with individual needs. Like Sally does this because she's good at that. Johnny does something else. So that's sort of differentiation.
When I design a lesson, I might consider the kinesthetic, tactile, visual, auditory learners, and I think, what can I do in my lesson where each student at one point can do something that's helpful for their learning, and still be productive for the goal that I have for the entire class. So I'm not making individual lesson plans for each student, but in my head I'm thinking, as I'm planning my lesson over the course of a week, am I hitting all of these different learning styles in my lesson to make sure that I'm not losing anybody along the way.
So in the lesson that I taught, the assignment page that I handed out had a place for them just to write down 2 quotes they found. And knowing that class, I knew that some students would do that very well, and some students, we would get to the end of the chapter and there would be nothing there. So having them write it on Post-it notes did 2 things. It held them a little bit more accountable, because everybody would know that you have to walk up to the board and contribute. And then it would also allow for a lot more opportunities, rather than just finding 2 isolated quotes. They would have their 2 plus all the ones that their peers found, as a way to help the ones who maybe didn't find the best quotes.
Yeah, I like that type of teaching because, like, sometimes it would be hard for me to understand where she's coming, or any teacher, where they're coming from when they say we have to write down, jot down some few things. I like to express myself in that type of way.
My favorite type of lesson have to be when a teacher makes things attract my eyes, like doing smart board things, or where you get to work with other kids and you get to use your mind.
What happens in Foursquare is I put some problems on the overhead, and the students solve the problems by themselves at their desk, and then when the timer goes off, they go up to the board, they put the 4 problems on the board, and they're supposed to compare with people around them. When they all agree, they sit down, and then when the next timer goes off, the next slide has all of the answers on it, so then we can all sit and look around the room to see if there's any discrepancies, and then we can have a conversation about any discrepancies that are up there to help with their understanding. My students who work very quickly, they will probably finish all of the questions. But if I have a student who's not working very quickly, that's fine. They might finish 1 or 2, maybe 3 problems, and that's perfectly fine. And that gives me a point where I can go and individually help the students.
She'll pull you one-on-one, sit you on the back, and if you can't get the problem right, she'll help you solve the problem.
And then the students who are already getting it, they're actively working and practicing, because in math, we want the students to be mathematically fluent, meaning they can solve the problems pretty readily without not having to think much about it, just fluently solve them.
You get to involve with other students and get to, like, understand what they do to help them with math.
And so the people that go up to the boards, when you go up there in a group, everybody needs to help each other. If you don't get the right answer, everybody got to resolve the problem and see where that person messed up and to help that person.
I thought, I'm going to do something with hats on Islam. To kind of, this is called, I think they call it a hook. I thought, rather than just yammering on about hats, but